Hey guys, Zane here, and we're doing a easy problem on Leetcode, the seventh problem, reverse integer, and it is indeed quite easy. So it gives us an input of say 1, 2, 3, and we just need to return 3, 2, 1. But it is an integer, so we can't just reverse the string, but we can convert that integer into a string, and then reverse the characters, and then turn it back into a digit. And we also have to retain the minus sign, and we'll truncate any zeros. And okay, so let's get started. So first we'll try one way of just converting it to a string, reversing the characters, and then we'll actually do it without converting it to a string. Okay, so first the easy way, the string way. So we'll need to retain the sign of x. So we'll say x sign num, and that will just give us a -1 if it's negative and a +1 if it's positive. And we'll multiply this by the result that we're going to return. And so for the result, we're going to take the absolute value of x. So that we don't have the minus sign at the beginning, because if we reverse a negative number, then we're just going to have a minus sign at the beginning whenever we turn it back to a number, and that's not going to make sense. It's going to return an error. And so then we'll need to convert this to a string. Then we'll convert that string to a bunch of characters, and then we'll reverse the characters, and then we'll need to turn this back into a string so we can use the collect function with the turbo fish with a string inside. So this creates this will collect all these characters into a string again, and then we'll need to parse that into an integer. So we'll need to use another turbo fish of i32, and so that's going to return a result, which will have an error, or if it's an overflow. So if they give us an integer like this, it's fine when you go forwards, but when you go backwards, you have a 9 there instead of a 1, and that's going to overflow the 32-bit integer. So if that happens, this is going to return an error. But if it's okay, it'll just return the number inside an okay. So we can just unwrap that. So if we just left it like this is going to panic if there's an overflow. But if we add an or, then we can give it a default value. So if there's an overflow, it tells us to give it a default value of 0. So this should work. Famous last words. So let's go ahead and give this one a try. So this is our non-optimized solution. So we'll try it out. This should be 2.1. And so if we do this without converting it to a string, we should be able to get it down to that 2 megabytes that we got right there. Okay, so how do we do that? So what we're going to do is we're going to have two variables. We're going to have r, which will be 0, so that's r for result, and then x will equal, we'll say x as an i64 though, because when we're working with it, we don't want to have an overflow as we're trying to convert to, because r will just be a i64, and then if there's an overflow, we'll test for overflow at the end. So we'll say i32 at the end, and then we'll try to get an i32 from r, which will be an i64, and we'll say unwrap or 0 like we did before. So that will give it a default value of 0 if there's an overflow. But r is not going to, i32 doesn't have this try from by default, so we'll have to import that into our scope from the convert library, from the standard library, the convert module, the try from trace. Sorry, I'm a little sick, that's why my voice is a little off right now. Okay, so then we'll say while x is greater than 0, because we're going to be, or is greater than 0, because we're going to be dividing x by 10, taking the remainder and adding that to r, and then multiplying r by 10. So basically that's going to take the ending of x, so the 3, we take the remainder of x divided by 10, so that would be 3, and we add that to r, so r is now 3. Then we multiply r by 10, so r is now 30. We divide x by 10, and so now x is 1, 2. So we got 30 and 12. And then we just take the remainder of that 12 divided by 30, so that's going to give us a 2. We add that to the 30, so that gives us 3, 2, so 32. So now we've gotten the first 2 of our result. And we just keep on doing that, taking the end of x and adding it to the end of r and adding 10. So that's pretty clever. I didn't come up with that. I think a lot of people have used that, so I wouldn't know who to credit. So we'll say r plus equals x divided by the remainder of x divided by 10, and then we'll multiply x by 10. And actually we need to multiply this first, so we're going to move the characters to the left first and then add the remainder. And so then we'll just divide x by 10. And so I think this should work. Let's see. Okay, so this doesn't work because whenever x is negative, it's already going to be greater than 0. So we'll have to get the absolute value of x rather than just x by itself. And that works. So we'll paste this into Leetcode and see if we can get this to work. See if we can get 2 megabytes. That's our goal. Probably should pay for that. 2.1. If we ran it again, it would probably be... We'll just run it again because I'm pretty sure it's going to be 2. Okay, so 2 megabytes. So we use slightly less memory. Is it really going to matter? Probably not, but hey, this is an educational video. Okay, so join me in the next video, which is going to be number 8, string to integer.